Do the people around you, do they feed the flames of your fire, or do they try and put them out? If anybody in your life tries to put out your flames, get them out of your life. What makes your mind want to get going every day? But the fact is, sometimes the worst things that happen to you are the best things that could have happened to you, because you find something else as a result. So that's why I'm never scared of failure, because all it's doing is bouncing me back into the right direction of where I should be going anyway. Always a little voice in my head was going, get up, get on your feet, get up, get on your feet.
Okay, sweet. So if you could just tell us who you are, where you come from and what you do.
So my name's Lex Griffin. I suppose you would call me a full-time YouTuber, and I'm not going to say an influencer. I appear on social media, hopefully in a positive light, and I think that kind of all-encompassing makes me a creator. I'm a creator, online creator.
I think that's a good way to put yourself. One thing I'm quite interested in is your upbringing. So how did it start from you, like in your early years, where you live, kind of your family? What was that like?
So brought up by my mum, got 3 sisters. Dad was always away working, doing very successful businessman, but family-wise, like it was pretty much my mum and my sisters. Always really sporty. This was one of the things with me. So you know when you talk about kids with a lot of energy, that was me, but not in a negative way. But I always was. It was home, bag on the floor, kit off, shorts and thing, back out to play football until you had to come in. And that never really went away. So even though, so I've always said that I've always had this natural tendency towards being active and wanting to just be outside and doing things, which is great, but also everyone has the attention span of a Cocker Spaniel. So it's the yin and the yang, but I did embrace it. I embraced that, so I tried every sport. I went from everything from like table tennis to rugby, so, and that was all my school career was always playing for the team sports, playing for town teams, playing for the school. Education wise, like I was pretty decent across the board. I lent a little bit more towards science and art. But there wasn't really maths, maybe I've never. Have you ever had to use Pythagoras' theorem in your everyday? No. And that was how I used to look at those subjects a bit like, when are we going to need this? Like I had to learn Latin at school, so I went to a grammar school, and Latin, it was mandatory. So that was one of those where it was like, so why do we have to learn Latin? Griffin, get out. See you later. But yeah, so through school, lots of sport. Pretty much, I was a decent student. I was a little bit of a class clown, but not in a negative way. Just a little bit of fun. Like shut up now, Griffin. Okay, sir. So always been that way inclined towards the activity. Then went from there through to university and studied biology. Done it twice actually. Yeah, I got 2 biology degrees, which I don't think a lot of people know actually. And that's mainly because not in terms of career, it wasn't like, oh, let's go do biology because that's going to make me money. I've never kind of been that way inclined. It was more in terms of what interests me and what I'm going to focus on. And I loved biology probably because of the teacher I had at the time. Shout out to Mr. Broadhurst if he's watching these. He genuinely made me love that subject because of the way he taught it. And I think I've taken a lot of inspiration from him over my years. I had 2 actually. I had him and Dr. Pearson, were just these 2 great guys. And it so turned out Dr. Pearson used to lift weights. And that was my first introduction to weightlifting, was this gentle giant of a 6-foot-odd man who looked like what you could only equate to Johnny Bravo, but with grey hair and a beard. And the only reason he said he didn't get any bigger was because his wife wouldn't let him. And he literally took us to the gym as part of our school. We used to have a thing called Tumble every year. So we'd have our set, if you were the football team, you do that. There was another part of the week where you did another sport, which was everything from weightlifting to snowboarding. It rotated. And he was my first introduction to really weight training at 15 years old. Yeah. And kind of left off from there. Kept that going through until uni.
I think that's crazy about how you said that you kind of did the subject because you enjoyed doing it.
Yeah.
And I think what you do now is you do follow your passion. You can see that you're quite a passionate, energetic person in everything that you do. And the reason you do it must be because you love doing it. Have you ever been strayed from that path by anybody who could maybe doubt you and your passion, and how would you overcome that?
As in what, from where I've ended up being the job?
Yeah, from biology, taking that and then putting that into content creating, being creative.
Yeah, I think that was the whole process of only following what I enjoyed doing. Like there was nothing was ever going to take me away from that, because if I don't enjoy something, if I'm not invested in it, I get bored really quickly, and it shows. I fall off really quickly as well. So it was always going to be the wiser decision to go along the lines of, okay, what do you enjoy doing? What interests you? What makes your mind want to get going every day? And biology, don't get me wrong, I didn't love all of biology. Like, plants can suck it. Like, plants are the most confusing things on earth, but the human biology and animals, all day, like, I could listen to it, I can study it, it intrigues me. It makes sense, you know, this happens here, which causes that over there. There's you know, a point A to point B. Whereas with the plant side of it, it's like space. So that, I do need the structure of things, but when it makes sense to me, I'm all in. And that's kind of across the board in life in general. It can be as simple as like making a good coffee. Like, if I like coffee, so why not just make the best one we can make? And the same is, if we're training, like, why not learn what you should really be doing and invest yourself in it? And again, it's, if I haven't enjoyed doing something in terms of creativity, training, I literally will find out, right, why am I not enjoying it? And let's change that. And I've always had that mentality. I don't know where I got that from. I guess it's somebody's taught it me along the way somewhere. Maybe it was the teachers, maybe it was my mum's always been very good like that. She's always been, you know, you could come up with the stupidest thing, like, Mum, I want to be an elephant trainer. She's like, okay, darling, yes, yeah, well, you have a go at that. Like, she knows, like, if you don't like it, you're going to stop anyway, but she never said no to anything that you really had a passion about. And I think that's important, is having people around you that kind of, I think one of the sayings I like is, do the people around you, do they feed the flames of your fire, or do they try and put them out? If anybody in your life tries to put out your flames, get them out of your life. Like, why are they there? And it's that whole thing of like, oh, so-and-so's all right most of the time. Yeah, but that means some of the time they're not all right. So why is that in your life? Why is that not okay part still allowed in your life? And I live a lot like that now. So yeah, it means you sometimes have to make tough decisions in relationships in regards to things like that. But at the end of it, at the end of when you get past those tough decisions, looking long term, they always benefit you. So that's how I look at everything, kind of across the board. So I think nothing's really strayed me, because I've only ever really followed what I want to do. And if I didn't enjoy it or disagreed with it, I simply moved away from it.
That makes perfect sense to me, but it also seems like it takes quite a lot of courage to kind of have that, maybe not courage for definite, but the way you look at things quite rationally as well, is if it makes sense and you enjoy doing it, then you would do it. And if you don't, you can't hold your attention anyway, so you're not going to be able to do it.
Yeah, as always, there's no fear of failure. I don't mind failing. I would rather try and fail than not try at all. And anyone who ever sees you successful, I think this is a big thing with social media at the moment, is people are only seeing the highlights of people's lives. And I'm trying to take that back a bit now. So I've started filming my content literally as of a few weeks ago in a bit more of a raw format, because I want people to see, listen, it's not all pretty. There's tough moments, and I'm going to share those tough moments. And I think I owe that to people who follow me, in terms of they're following you for a lot of people get inspiration from who they follow. That's why they're following people, you know, it motivates them. And I think we owe them the reality of what they're following, so that they, not only just to show them that not everything's pretty all the time, not everything's great all the time, but also so they can relate more and feel okay. Like, for somebody else, if you're in a room with somebody and you just tell people in the room, I feel this way about something, and 30% of that room go, yeah, I feel the same way. Immediately, that person's weight is lifted off their shoulders. Oh, I am normal. There are people who feel the same as me. And that little thing can go much, much further than some 10-minute Hollywood edit to try and make me look as good as I want to look. You know, I'd rather do the other thing. And I think that is the mentality I'm trying to move forward with from this point. So, yeah. Did that answer the question? I don't know if I went off on a tangent there a little bit.
And that was a brilliant answer. That brilliant answer made sense. You spoke about failure. You spoke about not being scared of failure.
Yeah.
Have you got any examples where you have failed and you've grew from it?
Let me settle in. Yeah. Well, so okay, I've tried going for numerous different types of jobs, going from property development to property acquisitions. Then flipped from that, maybe thought about going into teaching, and all these things fell by the wayside because something roadblocked me, something stopped me. So the property development stopped because there was a market crash, literally got basically made redundant from what I was doing and had to just flip into something else. But every time something like that has happened, I've used it I've always you can sit now and be upset with what's happened. That the goal you set is either not turned out to be the way you wanted it to be. Like I really thought I wanted to be a teacher. I really thought I wanted to get to that, and then I just could not get onto it. I think it's called PGC courses. There were so many limitations to try and get onto it, and I did a load of positions where I went and substituted doing things voluntarily to get everything where it needed to be for me to get on these courses, and just got knocked back, just because of there were people with basic teaching degrees that were coming onto these placement schemes instead, and rightly so, like they got priority, but to me it was just like a constant punch back. So it was like, okay, what do we do in the meantime? And that's when I started actually YouTube. So had that never happened to me, I could just be a teacher right now, living that life, but never have known this. And this world that I live in now is, yeah, it's a little bit sporadic, and it can be scary at times, but Jesus, it's fun, you know. And so it's one of those of when something happens to you, in that moment, it can seem like the biggest kick in the nuts. Like it can devastate you, it can put you on your ass. But the fact is, sometimes the worst things that happen to you are the best things that could have happened to you, because you find something else as a result. So that's why I'm never scared of failure, because all it's doing is bouncing me back into the right direction of where I should be going anyway.
That's a beautiful way to put it. It is, because bouncing, you're taking knocks, but you're realigning yourself and you're finding probably where you're meant to be going anyway.
It's like those bumper rails on a bowling. You know, when you do that and the ball bounces down, eventually it gets to the skittles at the end. It's a little bit like that. Life is a little bit like that.
You've got a position now which I see a lot of people try and replicate. A lot of people want to do it. A lot of people want to do YouTube, and a lot of people want to put out content and do fitness. People are going to be asking you, like, what is the magic secret? What do you need to do? And I'm sure there isn't a magic secret, but what would you respond to that?
Yeah, 100%. There's no secret. Like, hard work, time, consistency. YouTube, Instagram, even when you're doing it full time, like, those platforms are not there to help you. They're there to make money, okay? So a lot of people think that when you get to a certain point, like it just snowballs. It doesn't work that way. You're constantly battling against these ad revenue algorithms and changes. We've seen a lot recently in changes of the way people look at even colours of skin and things like that. So now, as much as that's a great positive, what that means to an algorithm on social media is they change the entirety of what they're showing people then on their systems. So then all of a sudden you've got to think, right, do I now tailor myself towards this trend, or do I just kind of keep going where I'm going and hope what I'm doing is okay? And obviously the correct answer is try not to ever go towards just the trends, because then you're not being you and you're not being authentic. So you can approach them and you can bring those in and tie in what's going on in the world with what you do, but inherently you need to be who you are and show who you are, because that's what people are going to follow. That's what people hopefully are going to get some kind of motivation from or learn things from. And so the biggest secret is to not be anything but honest and yourself, I think, and then don't be afraid to put yourself out there. You can, if you worry at all about what people think about you, then you're not going to be able to do this job. But as long as you're a decent human being and you know that, then just be you, put it out there, and just keep plugging away. Eventually, these, you know, if what you're giving to people is real and it's helping, it will just slowly chip away and you'll edge your way up, you know. And just, you've got to believe that what you're putting out there is good. Creatively wise, you know, learn, study things, be online. I'm constantly learning about grading and transitions, but again, it interests me. So I love all that. I love the cameras, and I love learning about lenses and software and upgrading things. And the biggest thing, invest in yourself as well. Don't buy those 3 pairs of trainers a month that you buy because of a trend. Save that money and put it into a decent lens. Save that money and put it into your first camera. Save that money and put it into sound equipment, whatever it is that you're doing. That is 100% the biggest thing that I think, if I was to go back, I would tell myself, spend more on about creating the world you want around you. Spend more on that rather than what you want the world to see. Does that make sense? Yeah.
That's a powerful way to put it, because then you create the world rather than creating an image which isn't always sustainable as well.
Exactly, yeah. And the amount of people who, when I do meet them, and sadly now we don't do this as much, but we used to do a lot of fan meet and greets when, you know, expos were trending and all that, and I loved that, and I'm so happy I was there for that kind of golden era of the fitness stage. But one of the biggest things that always used to shock me is people go, "Are you exactly as you are in your videos?" And I used to be like, why are other people not? but they must not have been when they met them in real life. So yeah, I couldn't understand it being any other way, but that just shows that some people maybe did caricature themselves a little bit for the business rather than the joy of what they're doing.
You spoke about hard work, dedication, and consistency, and you've been doing this a long time now, Lex. Probably about 8 years. I can remember looking at some of the first content you put online, and it was not recorded with the greatest of cameras, and it was not the best content at the beginning. But now your content is top notch and creating really good stuff at a fast pace. But at the start, can you talk us through that hard work, consistency, and dedication, and some of the times where you've really had to commit a lot of time and energy to it?
Yeah, when we started out, obviously I literally knew nothing about cameras, photography, video. No, I've always been a little artistic. Like I could always, I enjoyed drawing. I used to be good at kind of creating my own caricatures and stuff like that just in my spare time. That was enjoyable. So maybe I do have a little bit of natural artisticness to me, which is obviously a benefit. But I've literally learned as I've gone from learning about why it's important to have a certain type of lens for a certain shot, how to edit and grade my own footage, and it's literally on the go. I would spend 5 to 6 days editing a 10-minute video when we first started, and that can still happen now because I can get a little bit hyper focused on things, but that's the dedication that I wanted to put in it because I enjoyed it again though, and that end result was so satisfying, and it did pay off because what I put out, people were able to watch in a way that it engaged them, and that's the big thing as well, is making sure that people can engage with the content. So I worked with what I had for a very long time, and slowly but surely, as I did get a little bit more revenue coming in, a little bit more money, I would look to people who were above me and ask them questions like, what do I need? Why do I use that? Why do I want this? And dial it in, and then with whatever budget I had, I would go and get the best I could for what I wanted, what I needed. And so it didn't all start with, I didn't jump into straight with the best cameras and everything like that, but what I did do was jump in with the attitude, I'm going to make this the best that it can be. And that meant a lot of late nights.
You spoke about learning on the job. I think a lot of people, they look at something and they'd want to replicate it, they want to do the same, but they sit back and they think, I need this and I need that. Yeah. How important is it to just set off, do it, and then learn as you go along? Yeah,
that is the big thing. So people think that they need that £4,000 camera to do their vlog. No, you don't need that. You can vlog on a phone these days. That's good enough. Everyone's got a phone. If you can edit any kind of footage to make it quick and snappy and fun, but what makes people want to watch is you, the person talking through the camera, or the subject that you're filming. If maybe you're not doing vlogging, maybe you're doing some other creative side of things, maybe you want to just be a photographer or a videographer. So it's the subject matter and the way it's shown that is important. And the biggest thing, the messages I get every day is, I have these all the time, and it's people saying, I want to start a YouTube channel and I have all these ideas, but I don't know how to be in front of a camera in public. Like how do you do that? How do I start this? What do you think the best thing is to get on YouTube? And my answer is always the same: just start. Put it on record and film. Everything is re-recordable. Everything can be redone. You can put a video up and you can hate it and just delete it and take it down. It doesn't matter. But YouTube is free. There's nobody stopping you. There's no waiting line. There's no queue. There's no need to sign on some kind of dotted line that's going to come back and bite you in the ass. We live in a world now where nothing has been more available to you to get out and put your message out there. So just take that step forward. So what if your first videos suck? You can talk about that later on. It's great, and you can show people what they used to look like. You can see how far you've come, and people like that journey. There's some people, like I said before, there's thousands of other people thinking exactly the same thing as you. Just take that step, show them, and then they'll adhere to that and go, oh, they've bloody done it. I'm going to do it too. Tell people, tell your story. It's part of it.
I think that's a quality bit of advice. I think a lot of people wait for the right opportunity, the right moment, but sometimes it never comes, does it?
There is no perfect time, there is no perfect moment. You have to just start. It's that simple.
You've built your content around fitness, so your content is quite helpful for people. I feel like you put yourself out there in a way which tries to, well, it is motivating, inspires people and can help people. But what was you said you was fit when you was younger, but what was the point where you decided to start getting into the bodybuilding, the boxing, the weights, MMA? What was the reason for that?
So yeah, the fitness, everything was fitness orientated. Now I think I'm flipping much more into a lifestyle in terms of even going through morning routines and everything now. But yeah, when I was younger, the fitness side of things, for me, it was just I loved doing sport. Like if I wasn't doing sport, I was riding a bike somewhere to a river to go and jump in it. It was just, that was kind of who I was. And so to get into the bodybuilding, the reason that started actually was, like I said, I had the biology teacher who was a weightlifter himself. One was a snowboarder, Mr. Broadhurst, and then Dr. Pearson, he was the weightlifter. So I went snowboarding with one teacher, and then the other guy took us to the gym, and he showed us the basics of in the gym, and he was such a positive human being in my life that I wanted to emulate what he was in some way, shape or form. And so he immediately, by taking us, he literally trained with us in the gym, like a group of 8 of us. It was brilliant. So that really set me in the side of like, well, this is enjoyable. I like this. This is like sport, but something I can control and you do it at your own pace. And then from there, luckily I had, we used to live in the countryside and in like a farmhouse, and my neighbour used to train at one of the local gyms. So at 15 years old, he would drive me after school with him when he went to the gym. He let me tag along. And I went to this old rustic gym. It was like a proper spit and sawdust kind of place. You know, they even had those weights like Popeye used to have, you know, the big circles on it. So this place was like a jungle gym to me when I went in. And because I was in there with such enthusiasm, the older guys who were in there, they kind of took me under their wing and showed me how to do things. And so it created that positive mechanism of, you know, going to the gym, meeting people you like, having a laugh with these grown men. It was like feeling like one of the boys, coming from a family full of girls, you know, this was really great. So that's what really set me into loving the weight side of things. At school, I played a lot of football and basketball, which is kind of non-contact. But when I went to university, because when I was at school, with basketball, I played for the town teams and I played for the school team. The whole emphasis on us was team. So if you missed a shot or someone missed a shot, you didn't chastise anybody on that team. You got back as a unit and defended. So nobody ever stuck with the negatives. It's always like, move, we get moving on. So I think that maybe carried through with me a lot from that coaching kind of style of, you know, you don't slam others. Yeah, that went wrong, but how do we fix it? That kind of mentality. So then when I went to university and I went to trial for the basketball team, that wasn't there. Everyone was like a one-man show. And I hated it. And my new roommates at the time were all rugby players. So I then started, well, I'll try for the rugby. It turns out I played a little bit of rugby at secondary school, but not for any teams. It was more inter-house. And it turns out pretty good at rugby. Because at university we were at Newcastle University, so we played for some of the teams there as well as the like inter-house teams. So I played a lot of rugby, and then so when I started playing rugby, it was like, okay, I want to be able to tackle harder. So then it was into the weights room at the university. Obviously, you've got everything at your disposal because you're a student, everything's catered. So into the gym, and it was like, okay, how do we train to get stronger? And then from there, it was like I started seeing changes in my body, and from that, it was like, oh wow, okay, we're seeing some changes here with the food and the training. How far can we take that now? Like, and then I started. Then those little pictures that were up on the wall in that old original gym I went to of like Sean Ray, Arnie, and all that, they started coming back from the old memory banks. I was like, well, let's just see where we can get towards that, you know, and that's pretty much where it came from.
For a lot of people out there, you inspire them to train, but for people who don't train, how important is it for the mind? What does it do for your mind?
Yeah, exercise activity in general is massively underrated, especially in the UK. I think now even kids in school, they're not making PE kind of a mandatory thing anymore. It's almost, if we have to drop something, let's get rid of that. But exercise is cathartic. That not only on a hormonal level, but on a mental level as well. It gives you that moment of a break from everything else that's going on in the world, and you can focus on just what's in front of you at that time. And especially in the gym, you can put the music on that you want, headphones on, and all your focus and going to these singular movements or these singular time frames, and that's all that matters, and that's really freeing. You know, and that break away from the everyday hustle and all the problems, sometimes that can just give you that reset you need to go back energized and recharged back into the real world. So underestimating the value of being in, maybe having, even going to just a team sport, even going to a Zumba class, anything just gives you an increase in happy hormones and a break away from the real world. It's the benefits are huge, and I would recommend anybody, even if you're not sporty, who cares? Go for a long walk, go for a harder walk with the dog, join a team. You don't have to be brilliant at everything. You just have to try, and you'll try and try and eventually you'll find those one or two things that you really love. Yeah, I don't know why people, I think we scare people. I think, again, social media scares people into trying things because they see everyone being perfect at something all the time. Trust me, nobody's perfect. You guys have not seen me play tennis. But there's a lot of swearing, but by the end of the day, I'm pretty decent.
You spoke about getting in the zone. So when you're working out, you're getting in the zone. Sometimes you talk to yourself, sometimes you'll swear at yourself.
Yeah.
Can you talk me through when you're doing a weight session, you're putting yourself into a dark place, you're in a real hard place at the moment. What's your kind of mindset and what are you doing to overcome that?
Yeah, so I always have a little inner voice. And I learnt this through my years of doing like MMA is it's not something you can be taught, and some people don't have it and some people do. When we were sparring or when we were doing really tough drills with Thai boxing or wrestling, I always had a little voice in my head, even when I was when you're on the floor and you can't get your breath in, you can't expand your rib cage enough to get your lungs full, and you feel like you might throw up. Always a little voice in my head was going, get up, get on your feet, get up, get on your feet. And that's always benefited me, and I've pushed that through into the weight training as well. So I always will count my rests. My phone is not in my hand during training. My phone goes wrapped up in a bag, and all it's doing is playing music. If it beeps or it rings, I don't care. I'm not answering it. This is my time. It's not a long time. Most of my gym sessions are 60 minutes. If I can't take 60 minutes of a single day to myself to focus on something that's going to make me better, how can I expect to get better at anything else outside of that 60 minutes? This is easy. This is fun. This is what sets you up to go and do the tough stuff that's real. So getting my head down, that music that gives you goosebumps, that music that makes you want to just get up and do something. You need that. That is huge. And a lot of people, you see them sat around looking into space, just not really paying attention, on their phone, scrolling. This is the biggest thing you see. Take all that away. Take away those variables. Allow yourself to get focused. And eventually it'll become a habit. Eventually you won't want that phone in your hand because it's a distraction. It's taking you away from what you now enjoy. So for me, it's the music, head down, counting my rests, and that little inner voice, which sometimes becomes an outer voice because I've got my headphones on, which are noise cancelling. I literally dig in, and it's always a matter of how long are you going to allow yourself to rest? And that's always my mentality is, do you need more rest or can you go? Do you need more rest or can you go? And I'll go as soon as I feel like I can go. That might be less than 30 seconds, but the max I give myself is 30 seconds. Unless we're doing crazy strength training, but that's a whole other tangent. But in just the basis of everything, it's like go, go, go. Don't let yourself get lazy. And I enjoyed that. So I've created my own kind of training system that allows me to be that way, which is much more high frequency. And again, but that's adhering to what am I good at? I have the joints. I don't know if these cameras can pick these up. That is the joint of a 12-year-old girl. Look at that. Look at it. That is not designed to do powerlifting. It's just not. And as much as I had a go at doing that kind of strength training and power training, I did get stronger, but I broke. My joints were just getting smashed and they're just not designed for it. So it's okay. And that's not what I'm designed to do. I can do it every so often in lower volumes. I can incorporate it in, but that's not for me. And as much as I'd love to be able to do that, it's not what I'm destined to do. So I train to how I enjoy, but what also benefits me in the way that I'm built. And that's hugely important. And that's why I think, again, when you're watching people on social media, when you're looking at people, take them as inspiration, take them as motivation, but understand they're a different human being to you. So you take what you like from what they do and you implement it to your way and the way you enjoy, and that's where you'll get that success from. And that's all I do. Good music, head down, move.
There's two things I really like what you said there. I like what you said about this is 60 minutes, this is fun, this sets me up to do the hard stuff. Like you're building a mindset in the gym which then can prepare you to battle life. But one thing I'd love you to expand on if you can, and maybe even expand it into more of a term about life. I really liked it when you hammered the, do you need more rest or can you go?
Yeah.
Could you apply that to anything else in life?
Yeah. The reason I put that rule on myself is because I can very easily sit on a sofa and watch movies all day. Like if I allow myself to do that, that's what I'll do. So I am constantly in a battle of because I am my own boss. I'm constantly in a battle of get up and do something. Get up because there's nobody there telling me to do anything. It's all on me. So In the gym, it's the same thing. It's on you. You can look around, you can see what other people are doing, you can have someone personal training, but no matter what you have, what you pay for, what you buy, what program you're on, at the end of the day, it's down to what work you're putting in. And that's what I do. In the gym, I try and instill those positive mechanisms within the way I think. So real simple one that it is to the lifestyle things is I don't count reps in terms of a single number. I give myself a range. I'm definitely hitting that bottom number, but I'm aiming for the top number. And I will try and get there in the best form I can. And maybe the first few weeks I won't get there, but if I keep digging in and I keep pushing, eventually I'll hit that top number. And that's my progression. That's my own little tick box. Yes, we hit that. And now, all it means is the weight goes up a little bit next time, but it's that constant little progression, those constant little tick boxes. And making yourself move, that constant, so when you're counting reps, a lot of people, they'll say, right, you're going to do 8 reps. By the time they get to 6, they're already mentally now going to be tired because they know there's only 2 more to go. So oh God, I'm just going to get 2 more. That's a negative mechanism. So for me, I get to my point where I can't do any more, and then I'll take, wherever I'm at, I'll take the rest point for that movement, and I'll count to 3, and I will get at least 1 more rep. So when I get to my point of I'm done, I count to 3 and do 1 more. So it's that you're not building to tiredness, you're building to 1 more all the time. And so it's that 1, 2, 3, go. And if you can develop that mechanism in the gym, you can develop that mechanism outside of the gym. You take that moment, you go, come on, 1, 2, 3, go.
It's interesting what you say, because a lot of people that I've spoke to recently speak about being done. And when you're done, how done do you actually think you are when mentally you think you're done?
You are mentally done way before you're physically done. Way before. One of the biggest ways of learning that, go to a fight class, go to a boxing class, go to a gym where there's a team of people that are going to push you. When you want to quit and they say no, 10 more, you'll do the 10, and you can fall over afterwards and you can feel like dying afterwards. Fact is though, you got those 10, or you got that extra 30 seconds, or you pushed those extra couple of lengths on whatever it is you do. It's all about building, again, those positive mechanisms. I think in life, a lot of us are trained towards, you've just got to get to this point, and when you get there, you can rest. Rather than thinking, when I get to that point, let's just get over it. Let's just get over that one little bit. And that 1, 2, 3, go mentality, I think, is the biggest thing. I think I took that from the fight training, a lot of that from fight training. Get up, get up, get up. Even when you're super tired. And especially when there's somebody positively punching you in the face, there's nothing more motivating than that. So when your training partner's going, you got this, smack. You got this, smack. You're like, yeah, cheers, bang, bang. But even though they're beating you down, they're elevating you, because they're saying, come on, we're still going, let's go. And they're even saying to you, come on, hit me back, hit me back, hit me back. And in the gym, you need to be saying that to yourself. Come on, pick up that weight, pick up that weight. And that's literally what I say to myself. In the gym, I'd walk around going, on your feet. Rather than sitting down at my rest points, on your feet. Pick the weight up. And when I'm counting my 30 seconds, I don't count to 30 seconds and then pick the weight up. I'm picking that weight up at 6 seconds to go. So once that 1 and 0 hits, I'm moving, I'm off. So I'm not giving myself that rest and then that comfort zone. And even if I'm too tired by the time 30 seconds hits, I don't care. It's getting lifted, even if I only get 2 reps. Just so I'm creating that positive mental kick.
You spoke there about comfort zone. How often are you living outside of your comfort zone, and why?
I think whenever I'm doing anything, I'm outside my comfort zone, because I'm always trying to do more than I'm capable of. I always kind of aim a little bit, I'll have a vision that's a little bit further afield than what I know I'm totally capable of. But being in your comfort zone is fine. That's okay. Like in the evening when you've accomplished your day, you've been productive, have your comfort zone then. You've earned that comfort zone. Sit down with your nice little meal, hot drink, whatever, movie, that's cool, but earn that. Don't sit there at the end of the day with your nice little meal and hot drink when you've done nothing prior to it. Make yourself earn those rewards. And I think that's a great way of living life in general, is earn those moments. So comfort zones, earned, not owed.
I really like that, earned, not owed. No, I really do. In terms of, you spoke about being your own boss. So people will say, oh, I'd love to work for myself, or I'd love to be in charge of the decisions that I make. What does it really take to be your own boss?
It definitely takes a certain mentality. I am way more inclined to be better working for myself than other people. I work really well under people who I can learn from. I love that. But a lot of people are in job positions and and placements where they're usually working underneath somebody that they know, I know more than you. And that, to be honest, that is a lot of the cases. Some of these people are just in a higher position because they've been in somewhere longer than the other people coming through. And that can be really frustrating. And that was what was frustrating for me, was when I was being told to do something by people who I know more than you about this. And so for me, not having somebody looking over me, as much as it's harder in terms of that self-motivation, because there's nobody there to tell you to do something, it frees me up to be as creative and do everything I want to do and do it my way. And that takes a certain type of mentality, and I'm not sure if you can learn it, but I know that some people, it's in them, and that's the way they feel. And if that's the way you feel, chase it. Do what you need to do to give you the basis to be able to become your own boss. So I'm not saying quit your job now and just start doing that. No, you make inroads to getting to where you want to be, but you do what you need to do to get where you want to be. And that might be being sat in a job that you hate for another year. But just think that 1 year could give you 20 years of doing what you want. So it's that give and take. Everything's that yin and yang, a little bit of balance. But it's not easy. Yeah, it's not easy at all. It is not easy. And when the lows are low, there's only you to pick yourself back up, which again comes back to that 1, 2, 3, go mentality. Just that little reset, give you those little moments just to fire yourself back up. And realizing when you're down is another huge thing. Realizing when you're demotivated, realizing when you're tired, realizing when you're just being a bit soft. And having that little inner voice that goes, oi, wake up, get up. 1, 2, 3, go.
You spoke about if you have a problem with people looking at you on camera, then you shouldn't do it. Yeah. You put yourself in a place where you're judged. Yeah. On YouTube, people can put comments on you, people can hate on you, people can praise you. Yeah. In terms of all the people that maybe have doubted you or hated on you, did that bother you at some point in time, and how do you overcome that?
The thing to realise when you're online is you read a comment in the way you want to hear it. So you could read a comment that's really disgusting comment written, and you're taking that as another human being that's like you, sat across from a table, saying that to your face. You can take it that way, or you can realise it's a 12-year-old kid sat on the other end of a keyboard just going hee and snapping it out there. So it's a matter of taking everything with a little pinch of salt. Is remember, not everything that people put online has meaning or has worth, and what other people say about you, if other people judge you, that doesn't fall on you. All that tells you is that person is a judgmental human being. It doesn't mean that what they say about you is true. And that's really important to remember. If you know that what you're putting out is from a good background, it has good intentions, and it's only there to lift other people up and not put others down, then you just keep doing your thing. Don't worry about what others say, because I guarantee I get very, very little hate online now. And that, I think that's testament just to the fact that I just kept going. And what I say, when I say it, there's no hate in what I say. I take as many angles of opinion as I can. And when I say something, I'm saying, this is my opinion, and feel free to, argue against it with me. The reason that you have an opinion is, and this is what always gets me, is people will judge others for having an opinion. But what you need to understand is, when someone has an opinion, what they've often done is taken what you think into account and disagreed with it. Hence, their opinion is different to yours. So your job is to either make your point stronger and show them why it's right, or maybe just accept the fact that other people have a different view on something to you do. And you can either help that or you can move on from it. And rather than get stuck in and tied down and anchored by something. Just so that, we live in a world where people have never found it easier to have a voice, and some of those voices just need to be ignored.
I love the way you think about things, because you don't speak in it from an emotional place. You speak from a more rational place. Yeah. I think the advice on what you're giving is, if you're honest and you do things with the best of intentions, then even if somebody disagrees with you, kind of stay true to yourself, and you're doing it for good, not for evil. So then, therefore, you've got no accountability to hold yourself wrong. If you offend people, you can apologise if you offend them, but it happens in life.
Yeah, you're not going to please everybody all the time. But as long as what you're doing is done from good intention, it can even be wrong. As long as you came from it from a good angle and go later on, that was wrong what I said here. Actually, I found out this is better. Then you're just showing people that, I used to think that, oh, this is better. You're showing them that it's fine to have thought that, because we didn't know any better at the time, but what we did was improve and learn. And that's all we can ever do, is you can improve and learn.
You have 1 million subscribers, some of your videos have 12 million views. I can imagine that it's not been all sunshine. In fact, I'll take a quote from you. You said at one point in a video, when it rains, it pours. Could you expand on some of maybe the toughest times and when it rains, it pours?
Yeah, I had some serious lows. So there was a point where YouTube changed their user agreement. And it was prior to the time where they used to have a tag box in the video section. So what everyone used to do was put little buzzwords in the description and title. Well, in a single swoop, YouTube decided that the new user agreement would include that you couldn't use that and it would be determined as spam. But they didn't really give you any leeway in that. You were on YouTube, you went on one day and you went, oh, new user agreement, which obviously you just go, yeah, of course I agree, I'm on YouTube. The moment I did that, the next day I woke up, 300 of my videos were deleted. 300 videos, over 1 million plus minutes watch time, gone in an instant. And you kind of left, just your world has just suddenly, just a black hole just opened up on it. So I'm trying to ring YouTube, nobody's answering. I'm emailing people, nobody's responding. And even when I did get through to them, nothing could be done, because a bot, an automated program, had just wiped everything because it deemed that the description that I had under each of these videos, which just had simple taglines in it, like bodybuilding, gym, nothing bad, labeled it as spam. And rather than giving me a warning or giving me a time frame to, remove these things that are now deemed as not allowed, they just deleted 300 videos in 2 minutes. So they took 2-3 years of my work and wiped it in 2 to 3 minutes. And that was really, really bad, because what that meant was that my entire channel, everything I'd done, then dropped in the rankings. So visibility dropped, Google searches dropped, everything went down, and it was an immediate impact. So I've had to battle back from that twice because it happened again later on. Something happened with my channel where all my subscribers were not being notified of my uploads for videos and were being unsubscribed from my channel without them unsubscribing, which YouTube then denied and said that's not possible to happen. Well, I've got messages from people still to this day, it's still happening. So there's a lot of things where you think something's going to support you and it turns out actually no, that there is no real support there and it's down to you again. And now I could have sat back and just argued with YouTube about how wrong it was. But the fact of the matter was those videos were gone, they were deleted, they were not on some kind of server even if they were re-uploaded, they would be re-uploaded with 0 views, 0 anything. So the stats and everything that I created from those was gone. So it was a matter of I can sit here and cry over spilt milk, or we can just get back and get building again and get some new ideas and get moving. And that's what I did. And now, the scene has changed a lot. Again, we've had issues of subscribers being subscribed to channels and not being shown videos is still going on, and there's probably thousands of creators have been vocally talking about this. But again, you can either sit there and blame somebody else for something not happening, or you can just get on and try and work what you need to do, because at the end of the day, the YouTube's still it's still there every day, it's still rocking on, and I still have to be doing what I'm doing. So let's just find another way. And that's when I started going back to more things that I loved again, and back to that side of me that I first started out with, and that's the fighting, the recovery, and the changes in mental state that you can make on a daily basis to help you be more successful, help you deal with problems when they come about. So that's where I've evolved from. So that's why I've gone from fitness, just fitness really, and lots of motivational kind of weightlifting videos, to now much more lifestyle. And I don't want to say like life coaching, because I'm not a life coach, but I just say what makes my days better and hope that you can take parts from it and integrate it into your day and feel the same thing. And again, if those deleted videos had never happened, maybe this would have never happened. So, it's the two sides of every coin kind of thing.
You say you're not an influencer, but I feel like you've gave some solid advice, and when you are giving advice in this interview now, I can tell it comes straight from you. It's your opinions, what you think, what works for you, and you speak it honest, and I think that is a good way to be. It's a good approach to have.
I'm glad that comes across, and I have no warrant in telling people how to be if I've never done something. So I'll never give someone advice on something I know nothing about, and I think a lot of people try and do that. and make grave errors when they do that. Because if you do have a lot of people following you, you have a responsibility, and you have a responsibility to be honest to those people. And I have ideas for videos that I want to release soon as well that are going to be controversial in a sense, but I think they're going to be very eye-opening. They're going to ruffle feathers, but in a good way, I think. So everything I try and do, even if it's a controversial subject, I will attack it from an angle of positivity, like how we can learn from what we've seen, rather than slam what's happening and just go at it and try and get views from just chastising other people. I talk about the problem, why it's there, and how we can change it. So again, you can have those adverse opinions, you can have those polarizing opinions, but it's about how you vocalize them and how you talk to other people about them, which makes the difference. So that's something definitely taken account in day-to-day life as well. When you're having an argument with somebody, is that energy worth it? Is it really worth getting out of your car and having a shouting match at that guy that stopped at a green light earlier than he should have and it's now turned red and you're running late? You're running late, that's on you. He's just stopped at a light. You're really going to put the energy that you need when you get to where you're going into shouting at this guy that slowed you up a little bit because you're already in a bad place? And it's that kind of mentality,
You spoke about putting your energy into different places. One thing you spoke about before we started filming was you started meditating. You said that sometimes you use your energy maybe in the wrong way.
Yeah.
And you spoke about having Alan Watts in the background and Alan Watts, being the voice of reason.
So I was put onto Alan Watts only this year, and the meditation, I've always looked at people who do meditating and yoga and that, and I look at it in awe, because these people seem to just be able to really channel themselves. And as much as I liked watching them, I always used to think to myself, my brain was too busy to kind of get into that. It almost felt silly to sit there and just try and center myself and do all these things. But that feeling of silliness was the only thing holding me back. So eventually I talked to a few more people who were quite deep into yoga, and then I got way more into learning about the histories of human civilization and how we've come through. Basically, a lot of spiritualism has always been throughout the whole of humanity, and some of the most well-known ancient civilizations were massively spiritual. So it doesn't mean that you have to be a God-fearing human being to just learn that your energy needs to be focused, that energy is all around us, and not in that kind of hippie-ish way of like, there's none of the, you only need to make the noise and you know what I'm talking about, dude. I don't tell that, but I mean, I'm a scientist, so everything is energy. Energy can't be created or destroyed. So we are all interlinked in that sense. And so we are constantly pulsating with energy. There's always energy. Even when we're tired, you have to understand there's still energy within you. So it's a matter of finding it and controlling it. And by meditating, I found, yes, you feel a bit uncontrolled and maybe a little bit daft when you're sat there in this room on your own listening to meditation. But once you start getting in the rhythm, again, it's just creating that positive mechanism with it. You start to, it's not just about centering yourself. It's when you're listening to a meditative state, like someone like Alan Watts teaching you how to meditate, they're teaching you how to breathe. They're teaching you how to control your breathing, how to control your emotions, how to focus your energy. That is huge. And when you realize that the voluntary action of breathing that you can then also make involuntary, when you realize that no matter what you do, inherently breathing is going to occur, so why worry about it too much? It's the same thing of issues are going to occur in your life, but no matter what you do, whether it's voluntary or involuntary, it's going to happen. So don't worry about it, but we can deal with it. And when we realize it, and when you focus on it, you can then control it, like with your breathing. When you suddenly pay attention to your breathing and you realize it's shallow, we can make it deeper and start creating that better mechanism. Same with day-to-day problems. When something arises, and then you focus on the problem, you see where's the error point, where can we change it so we don't do that again? And it's that kind of simple action. So this daft thing that you thought was a little bit silly is actually a really great mechanism for day-to-day activities. So I would recommend you 100% everyone just take 10 minutes in your morning. I've actually created a playlist on Spotify and it's called Wake Up with Lex. And I did this because I started putting my meditation online and other people were like, how do you get into this? So I've created a playlist that has 10 minutes of music for you to get your coffee going, get your coffee, get about, and it gets a nice break into the day, a little bit of Frank Sinatra in there. Then it has this Alan Watts 10 minutes of meditation and then some more fun music afterwards every day. And I add a new song to it every day and I shuffle it around so it's never quite the same all the time. But the amount of people that are jumping on board and their mornings are suddenly being energized and they're feeling better and they're feeling more awake, or they have a reason to get up, even if it's a silly little thing as a playlist to get up to, but it's now making them happy in the morning to get up, rather than getting up and being like, oh, another day. They're getting up going, let's put some music on. And that's huge.
That's massive. It's great. It's great that you're actually creating a playlist and not just saying let's do it. You're offering some kind of resource for people to use to get into it.
It's free, and it's free. You don't. No, nobody's charging you for this. This is you, and you can take this and make it your own. And that's what we all need. And I know we live in a world where everyone's trying to make a buck from somebody else, but try and get out of that mentality. Money will come with natural success. Money comes alongside because you create more opportunities for yourself. If you're good and if you're true to what you're doing and you're good at what you're doing, opportunities will arise. But if all you're there to do is try and make money off the back of other people's problems, then you're already living in a negative cycle. That's not a good way of living. So, money comes with success, and success does not come with money.
You led on perfectly to my last question. It kind of did what you said is a motto, but what are some of the mottos that you live your life by?
My brain, as we're talking, I know what I have set answers for you for certain things, but at the time also makes me think about new stuff. So some of the things I've said today are the first time I've heard them as well. And one of the things that came to me when I was doing an interview with somebody else was, I've realized that, and this is now a saying that my brain came up with that I now live by, and it's, if you complain about something and never do anything to change what you're complaining about, you have no right to complain about that again. And that's a really simple way of looking at life that will really benefit you. Because if all you're doing is complaining, what are you changing? And so I do try and live like that a lot. I try and stop myself complaining and go more about changing.
What I'm going to do is now I'm just going to read some single words and some motivational quotes. And all I want you to do is kind of tell me what they mean to you. Motivational quotes, you might not even agree with them. So if you don't agree with them, that's fine. But just see what they mean to you, and then kind of you explain them. So, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now.
Yeah, I like that. That's good. That is learning from our past. Yeah, learning from our past, but dealing with the issues of the future. Yeah, I like that one.
Do one thing every day that scares you.
Yes, 100%. 100%. And it doesn't have to be an adrenaline scare. It could just be something like making a phone call you've been putting off. Because they can be quite scary if you're ringing somebody about a bill or something like that. Just, do it.
How often do you do things that scare you?
Every week I will do something that's out of my comfort zone in a big way. But every day I'll set myself one target. I literally have a list on a board, and I'll write on it what I'm going to do that day that I've been putting off. And that day I have to do it, no matter what the consequence of whatever it is I have to do, even if it's a negative one, because we're going to have to face it at some point anyway, and I'll do that. So I'll have the little ones all the time, and then one big one every week as a challenge.
The secret to getting ahead is getting started.
Yeah, it's got to be. I mean, there's no other way, is there? Unless you start, you can't get anywhere. Yeah, if you don't press go on that engine, the car's not going to move. Same thing, yeah.
If something is important enough, even if the odds are stacked against you, you should still do it.
I'd say I think a lot of people do things that are important to other people that they think they should be doing. So yeah, do something that's important, but do it for you, not for other people.
These are just words. So I'm just going to put words out there and they kind of tell me what they mean to you. So the first one is strength.
Strength, yeah. Immediately I don't go to physical, I go internal strength, mental strength. Because without that, you're constantly going to get beat down.
Sacrifice.
Yeah, sacrifice is, you get nowhere without sacrifice. Sacrifice and failure go hand in hand. And sometimes time is going to be one of your biggest sacrifices. The amount of people who always say, I don't have time to do this, I don't have time to do that. So they get into the gym and training. All those guys that you've seen or girls that you've seen who have been successful in getting in the gym, they didn't have 3 days to go and get to the gym. They weren't gifted, no job and just time to train. At some point, now I used to work 2 jobs and train and fight all at the same time. And all that happens is you just get in the regimented mechanism of that becomes your day. So find the time.
Judgment.
Yeah. Immediately go negative with that one. Judgment, people being judging of other people all the time. So I think we need to positively judge people. Here's a really good one that I put onto myself. You see somebody in a gym or in a training center or doing something, and that person might be overweight, and maybe they're not working as hard as you think they should be or whatever. But hey, they're in the gym. They're in that training centre. They're doing better than the person sat on the sofa at home, aren't they? So give those people a break and maybe give them some support.
Scared.
Scared. Yeah, scared's a good thing. I like things that scare me. It makes you feel alive.
Hard work.
Yeah, hard work. Two ways of looking at it. Hard work you put in, or something's going to be hard work. But they go hand in hand, don't they? Hard work. Show it, don't talk about it.
Consistency.
Consistency is key. Without consistency, you're going to go nowhere. You're going to be up one day, down the next. You've got to level it off to make that climb. So definitely, yeah. Whatever it is that you're going to do, be consistent at it. Don't drop off. Even on those days where you don't feel like you want to, do it, because the next day you'll be happy you did.
Is it worth it?
A good question to ask yourself. Like I said with the car situation, you might be angry. Is it worth getting out of the car and having an argument with that person? How's that going to benefit your day? Is it worth it? How is it going to benefit your day? Is this going to be a positive for your life? If not, move on. Cool. Is that all right?